On court one, dan Shi Yu rang ketiga number 6. Please welcome the technical official. The umpire of the match, please come, New Zealand, and the certificate, Irish matchman, is Sudirman. And now please welcome, Shi Yu Qi, versus Tze Yong, Malaysia.
So Shi Yu Qi has made his way to the court. He's got very good reception there. This is our second match. Here on court one, and Tze Yong of Malaysia now makes his way to this court one. We had a very, very quick first match in the mixed doubles. Chris Language here with me in our commentary position, just overlooking court one here, this Istora Senayan. Shi Yu Qi, of course, turning to badminton after some time out, and he's making a storming return, really. This is the first meeting between these two. So Tze Yong here, I watched him quite a bit in the last couple of weeks in both Thailand and Malaysia. And he was causing problems to some big names, Cho Tian-Chen. He beat him in Thailand. #1 seed there. Some decent results. So Tze Yong is now 23, just turned 23 actually, a few weeks ago, from the south of Malaysia, Johor. He's 21st in the world. It's his highest ranking. Doing some good stuff at the moment. He just won 5 titles at the International Challenger Series level. Most recently, the Bahrain International, yet to win on the World Tour. for Shi Yu Qi. He's 27 years of age, 1.83. So 6 foot. World champion silver medalist back in 2018. Asian Championships, he's got a silver in 2019, a bronze in 2017. And, since he's come back, he's really looked very, very sharp. 6 titles on the World Tour, including the Denmark Open, which was very soon after his comeback, an Australian Open. This year, the All England, he was a runner-up, lost to Li Shifeng in a very topsy-turvy final. 24-26, 5-21. Chris, here when we talk about the drift, I guess it has more effect in a singles, isn't it, than a doubles?
I mean, it can just be how the players deal with it. So I think different players deal with the drift in a different way. The most integral thing is that you feel comfortable with it. As in, you get set in your mind, right, this is the drift. I know what it is. I'm comfortable with it. Because the thing is, some players can almost overthink it.
Can it play in your mind?
Yeah, definitely. Because you can be down an end where you're struggling to lift, and it gets to a point where it's almost stressing you out so much that you can't lift. And if it gets to a point where you feel so uncomfortable lifting, it can really affect your whole game. I'd say the difference in singles, obviously, is your super simplistic tactics. You want to outmaneuver your opponent. And if there's a part of the court that we saw that on that serve, how much it moved to the right from where we are. If you're really struggling to hit a certain corner, the opponent will feel that, and they almost don't have to cover that corner because it's like the safe zone for them, that they don't have to cover it as much.
Ladies and gentlemen,
but this is going to be an interesting
on
match.
my right, Tze Yong, Malaysia. And on my left, Shi Yu Qi, China. Shi Yu Qi to serve, love all, play.
Yeah, and the drift's just taken out. That's where he's got to be careful. I'd say that's the
service over.
The danger zone, as it were.
No.
We've got a banner right in front of us, and it is swinging wildly. Just to give you an idea, well, you can't see it, but it is going hugely swinging sideways. So point of peace here.
Over. 1-all.
I think matches like this as well, as I highlighted in the mix, are so important because both these players are kind of having a different battle, and by that I mean, Tze Yong, he's ranked 21 in the world at the moment, but when it comes to limit qualifying, if he can be top 16, then he'll go as the second player from Malaysia, if he is the second player at the time. Shi Yu Qi, there's so many Chinese players that are around each other, that it's so important that you are the top Chinese, just because you don't want to risk being the second because you could easily get overtaken by the third. So they're both kind of having a slightly different battle, let's say, but matches like this, just because of the grade of the tournament is such a big tournament that the points are so big.
There's so much on offer here. The great Lee Chong-wei came out very recently to say he sees no reason why Tze Yong cannot make it to the Olympics.
Yeah, and I think it's
no pressure then.
Well, legend like Lee Chong-wei. If Lee Chong-wei says that, then yeah, you know, it must be an amazing confidence boost.
Absolutely. Well, he's been in 87 first round matches. He's won 69 of them, Shi Yu Qi. That's for Tze Yong. 29 wins in first round matches, 9 defeats. Both pretty good records. It starts to change when you face Chinese players quite often. He's never beaten a Chinese player in 3 previous matches. Lu Guangzhou once, Li Shifeng twice. overall in his
Service
career.
over.
He's played 7 times,
4.
just the 1 win.
Brilliant placement there for Shi Yu Qi, absolutely incredible. And I think just identifying how good Tze Yong is, you know, he's over the last probably 12 months, he has improved so much, and I think this is why, you know, a legend like Lee Chong-wei is identifying him as a big prospect.
Thank you.
All England was probably one of the first times where we really saw how good he was, and he beat the currently who is the greatest player at the moment, Victor Axelsen, and that was a bit of a surprise for everyone. I think Tze Yong played an incredible match. I think Victor maybe didn't perform to the level he can play at, but I think, you know, it showed everyone what he can do.
23-21 in that final game. There'll be the concern here, of course, is that, as you say, that Olympic year
4.
playing into his thinking. Tze Yong said not a good record against Chinese players. It's just gone a bit long.
6-4.
Shi Yu Qi's played Malaysians 3 times in the first round, won 2, lost 1. That was when he was 7th in the world and lost to number 71, Sutek Tze, beside Modi.
And again, brilliant. And because I'd say that's kind of, you could call it the danger corner, the safe corner. It's a difficult way of understanding it, but because when Shi Yu Qi is round the head and he's hitting a cross-court smash like that, the drift's going to keep taking it. So it's really hard for Tze Yong because the shuttle is continuously going away from him. But Shi Yu Qi, if he hits that too close to the line, the drift's just going to take it out.
On court 3, match number around 32, match number 6. Please welcome the technical
He's played that brilliantly down the line.
And that was the net shot before. The net shot was so tight that you see Tze Yong here, he's just off balance, and he's having to take that so low, and the lift's too short. But I mean, that is literally placed it on the line. But yeah, the lift's so short, but the net shot before. But it was because he opened up the court. Shi Yu Qi, if you're outmaneuvering your opponents so they're taking it late, they can't really hurt you, and that's what Tze Yong, he couldn't really do much because he was taking it so late.
Indonesia.
He's well judged.
And the submission.
One of the first kind of checkpoints of this first game. Just a simple lift out, but the thing is, he's seen if he lifts short how dangerous Shi Yu Qi is, that he can't afford to. He's got to play almost these lifts on the back line. Wow.
Yeah, that helped, didn't it?
Sharp on
Yeah,
that net
very
shot.
quick, wasn't he?
Because it wasn't even a loose net shot.
Now, please welcome.
And that's an incredible rush because Shi Yu Qi actually played that rush. We can't quite see it there, but he's lower than the net. So he's managed to almost put a tiny bit of almost topspin to make the shuttle go from low to dipping. It's an incredible shot.
He's in the zone, isn't he? Shi Yu Qi doing brilliantly. And he's taken a very good lead here in the first half of game 1, 11-4 at the break.
Dimohon tidak menggunakan flash dalam mengambil gambar karena sangat-sangat mengganggu para pemain.
Court 1, 20 seconds. Court 1, 20 seconds.
Chris, what does Tze Yong have to do here? Because he seems to be second best to everything at the moment.
Yeah, and I mean, there's no kind of easy answer. It's a case of he's got to unsettle Shi Yu Qi at the moment. You know, as you identified before the break, Shi Yu Qi is flying.
Yeah.
He is, you know, he's absolutely smooth. But again, like, he's making that look so easy, and that's not. He's playing it. He's got to play it perfect. If he catches that, you know, a couple of inches further to the right, the drift's possibly going to take that out. But I mean, it's hard because I wouldn't necessarily say Tze Yong has not settled. I'd say he's playing rallies, he's moving the shuttle around. I'd just say it's difficult. I wouldn't say there's a straight answer. Could he try and increase his tempo, his speed to unsettle Shi Yu Qi? Possibly. He's got to kind of hope on one hand that Shi Yu Qi can't keep this up, because the level that Shi Yu Qi's playing at the moment is you know, is very impressive.
Just waited on that one.
Service over. 13.
It was almost a shrug there from Tze Yong.
Well, it's frustrating because, you know, when your opponent's playing well, you don't want to make sure bit of luck like that. I mean, Shi Yu Qi here, he's just pushing it, and it's almost a horrible shot. Tze Yong's read it, and he ends up losing the point.
Oh, he's reached that well.
He's just reading the game so well at the moment, and these are two players that, yes, their rankings are different. We've got 9 in the world and 21 in the world, but when they're, you know, they're both playing well, it's a similar level. Right. But at the moment, Shi Yu Qi, he's showing how to play this hall. He's showing how confident he can be. You know, it's looking easy. We're 10 minutes. This is very quick for two players of this, you know, incredibly high level.
Very, very quick, as you say. Yeah, he just very casually lets that go past him. He's in full control of proceedings. It's a 10-point lead here.
But this is the thing now from Tze Yong. He's starting to feel more uncomfortable, and it's normal. When your opponent is kind of on cloud 9, everything seems complicated, everything seems difficult. But you've got to keep believing. You've got to just try and get yourself going in regards to feel comfortable, feel relaxed. And this is Shi Yu Qi there. He's showing how good he is hitting the backhand side of the court, where he's predominantly hit the cross court, whereas here he just gets up so smooth and calm and hits the forehand straight. Just showing he's got attack, he can hit either side.
Thank you.
Is there a case now with the lead so huge, Chris, that he's just got to think about a second game now?
I would say, because we're so early in the match, I don't feel necessarily has to do that yet. I'd say that the integral part is when he starts the second game, he's got to feel good. And all I mean is feel comfortable. He's got to be in a position where it could be the end. It could just be the end he's struggled with. Because he's got to still, I mean, everything's going cheek as well. I mean, it crept up the net and then somehow it ended up going out when, in theory, it should have been, I mean, much nearer. It's just, this is the thing as well in badminton. One of these, it could even, I mean, I don't know how it even ended up where it did, but everything is going, everything, you know, is going in one direction, and Tze Yong has to believe that, yes, this is just the first game, you know, badminton is best of 3 games. So just because the first game isn't going his way, that doesn't mean he cannot win. He's a player of fantastic caliber, you know, a little bit of luck for the first time.
He'll take anything right now.
Yeah, but you know, he's got to just feel comfortable. And when he starts the second game, if the first game does continue like this, that he can still win, and he definitely can.
He's almost there, Shi Yu Qi.
Over. 19-6.
It's the first point in a long, long time for Tze Yong, and it's just a solitary point.
Tze Yong challenges pulled out.
Well, just given how things are going, this is probably not going to go his way. Tze Yong. And earlier, Chris, that was a run of 10 points, by the way, before he got that solitary point. That just shows you the dominance at the moment.
Yeah, and this is the thing, and Tze Yong's got to try and find an answer to unsettle his opponent, because when you are flowing and when everything feels good, you know,
there you go.
It's your challenge to unsettle your opponent, to make your opponent feel uncomfortable, to make your opponent doubt themselves. And at the moment, Shi Yu Qi, you know, he's almost hovering on the court, he's flying, everything looks so smooth, he's looking so good.
Well, it saved one of the 14 game points he was facing there from Tze Yong. That is a fine first game by Shi Yu Qi.
Game won by Shi Yu Qi, 21.
We're absolutely delighted with how he's played that. And Tze Yong, a lot of work to do.
Ladies and gentlemen, on my right, Jonathan Brown and William China.
Setiap kali dia tukar dia agak tengok dulu tuh bolanya baru mesti laju. Agak paling
Court 1, 20 seconds. Court 1, 20 seconds.
So Tze Yong Qi has had one other game this year where he scored 21-7. You know what, Chris? That was also here at the Indonesia Masters and against Kento Momota. The only other time this year he scored a 21-7. He beat Momota, and it was the opening round as well. So maybe it's an opening round Indonesia thing. But he's looking so good, isn't he?
Yeah, I mean, he's had a great start. And now this is integral to the start of this second game for Tze Yong. Hopefully we're going to get to see the player that we've all seen before, and he's phenomenal. He's a great player, but he just found that really difficult at first game. Brilliant.
There you go. It's the kind of start you want.
Over. 1 love.
We talked about him beating Victor Axelsen, as I mentioned a few weeks ago. Cho Tien-Chen he beat. That within himself. Against top 10 players in Tze Yong. He's won 3 out of 11 matches against top 10 players. 2 of them we've already mentioned, Cho Tien-Chen and Victor Axelsen. The other one was Lo Kian-Yu, who was number 9 in the world. That was in the Commonwealth Games last year. He was number 42 in the world. What a start this is, the second game.
Totally. En's got to have you know, a part to play, but Tze Yong, it's quite impressive because the first game he was comfortably defeated, but we even saw the very first rally of the second game, the confidence he still got. Came out with a lovely double action, like a very deceptive shot to win the first rally, which shows he's, you know, he's not scared, he's not worried. He lost the first game 21-7, but that's not fazed him, which is really impressive from such a young player.
I suppose the key is, Chris, you just draw a line under game one. Done. You can't go about that, move on.
And that's the thing, and obviously it sounds so easy to do.
Right.
But it's so difficult because in the back of your mind, you know, you've got these doubts, this apprehension, these concerns. Well, hold on a sec, how did I just lose 21-7? Right. But I've got to say, Tze Yong, incredible. He's put that to the back of his mind. He's not bothered, focused fully about this second game, and that's really, really mature and really impressive. It's the drift. He's got to be so careful there. Yeah, you can see from the hand movement afterwards, the drift has just taken it out there.
1-4.
Well, that's certainly his best run of points so far in this match. 4 in a row.
Tze Yong's in so much trouble. The lift was short, and then phenomenal attack. That one, he just took that so you can see how late Tze Yong is there.
So Shi Yu Qi obviously now on this different end. You said that could be playing a part in it. I guess he's also taking a bit of time to sort of adjust to it, hasn't he?
Yeah, definitely. It can take, you know, a few points to adjust to an end change, and just to kind of settle your mind with the different tactics that you need to use when you do change ends. I have to say, the crowd is incredible. It's you know, it's quite early on a Tuesday morning.
They were in here way before we even started.
Yeah, and it really is amazing. The fans and the love for badminton Indonesia has it's a joy to behold. And you know, as the tournament goes on, it's going to be hard for us to hear each other, but it's going to be amazing. The atmosphere in this hall, and especially when we see some of the Indonesian stars later on in this competition.
Oh yeah, can't wait for that. I feel that Shi Yu Qi's adjusting. I know Tze Yong on the point there, but feels like he's trying to dictate proceedings again.
I think he's trying to, but I think it is going to be different this end. I do think, and we've already seen, you know, 6-2. And Tze Yong's so much more comfortable. Right. The drift's definitely playing a part, but I do think this game, this is where it's so integral for. Tze Yong's going to take this game to take three games. It's integral. He just keeps this momentum going, keeps this lead. And then on the flip side, Shi Yu Qi, it's so important that he keeps close. He's got to keep close to keeping Tze Yong just a little bit uncertain, a little bit nervous. If the lead gets too big, and Tze Yong's going to get even more comfortable and confident. I think that would maybe sneaking out. Ooh. Yeah, I think he's just pointing.
He knows it. Those are one of the annoying ones, aren't they?
6.
That's going to irritate him a little bit. So in case here, Chris, where there is a better end. I say that with inverted commas, and that also plays into the mind of the players.
Yeah, I mean, I would say for different players it can be a slightly different factor. If you want to, you know, which end you want, as in, I was saying,
calculating that, right?
Yeah, in Singapore it was a bit more. There was a bit more of an obvious end that everybody wanted. Whereas in here it could be just depending on your style, which end you really want. But I think as the tournament goes on, we're going to see, we might even see it change slightly, just because the busier this hall gets.
Correct. There'll be more people in here, right?
It's going to be hot in here, and the aircon maybe has to be a bit stronger. So yeah, it's going to be an interesting to see if the hall does, you know, slightly change as the tournament goes on.
And just on that, Chris, you know, and that's another winner there from Tze Yong. does that make it quite fascinating from a player's point of view, or frustrating, like, oh, there are new conditions I have to adapt to, or is it, oh gosh, now I have to readjust myself?
I think it depends, because some players are really comfortable with a drift or with wind. Speaking from my own experience, I'm going to be honest, I wasn't the keenest on a drift, just because generally in Europe...
You didn't face that?
Yeah, it's very difficult to recreate those conditions. So sometimes when you come to Asia and there will be a big drift, it could be a brilliant shot from the Tze Yong there, incredible. It can be quite, not necessarily daunting, but it can be quite difficult to adjust quickly to the conditions. And we saw it in the first game possibly, and Tze Yong took a little bit longer to adjust. And if you do that against a world-class player, all of a sudden, you know, you blink and you're 11-4 down. It's incredibly hard to come back from that. And when they do change during the competition, I'm not saying that's a long way out, they're just taking it.
Yes.
9-4.
It is integral that as quickly as possible you identify that.
It,
yeah, and you change and you make those adjustments that are needed.
Well, look, I mean, there's no doubt at the moment that the scoreline is so similar from the first game. It's a reverse, isn't it? Yeah. It was 11-4 at the break for Shi Yu Qi. And it's veering, it's going towards that now here for Tze Yong.
Yeah, I mean, for men's singles of this caliber, you've got two very, very good players. It's been incredibly quick. You know, we're talking around the 23-minute mark, 24 minutes. We're nearly a game and a half.
Service over.
You know, it's a lot of tournaments.
5-10.
I say this could easily be, you know, could be kind of a 25-minute game. You know, the first game could be 25 minutes, and this is what we're at for a game and a half.
Let that go. Good call. He's racking up some useful points here, Shi Yu Qi, just to narrow that deficit.
And it is so important because every point is integral for a change of momentum in the match, or put doubt in your opponent's mind, put belief. You know, every single point. It doesn't matter what the score is. The score is irrelevant. It's sometimes if you score much and you think too much about the score, you're thinking about something that kind of, on one hand, is irrelevant because you can't change what has already happened. The score is what it is. You can't change that right now. You can only change what's going to happen, which is, you know, the future score, if you get what I mean. So you have to, and this is why it's important. You take one rally at a time and you have full focus on the one rally that you're playing on.
So at the interval here in game 2, it's 11-6 to Tze Yong. Shi Yu Qi, who leads after winning the first game 21-7.
Court 1, 20 seconds. Court 1, 20 seconds.
Going on around, and I'd say we're not even
11-6
at the moment. By the way, the first half of game 2 has taken as long as the whole of game 1.
Brilliant from Tze Yong.
12.
And it's one of those things that sometimes you think, is this being kind of the 5th week in a row for some players? Is this going to play a part of fatigue? But I'd say when the matches are as quick as this, probably not.
No.
Because this is incredibly quick for a game and a half. Lovely reverse there, steps in so confident.
30.
Pinpoint precision as well.
6.
Trapped his opponent where he places it, but the skill and the technique there, lovely reverse.
Well, he made a very good point earlier about the toll, perhaps. We've had the Sudirman Cup, then we had Malaysia, then we had Thailand Open, then we had Singapore. We've got Indonesia this week.
Service over.
Some players, you know, 5 weeks in a row is kind of unheard of
7,
for most players, but never normally. But because it's the start of the Olympic qualifying, it's difficult to not play some of these tournaments. I mean, Shi Yu Qi himself, he took off, I think it was Malaysia he didn't play. Because there's a sensible thing, because does he want to play for 5 weeks in a row? Not really. So by taking that 1 week in between Sudirman Cup and Thailand. It just gives you that chance to almost re-energize, regroup. So then you have 3 in a row. 3 in a row is fairly common, but 5 in a row is it's a big ask. And there's going to be some, I think, slightly interesting results as the week goes on in this tournament for some of the players that have played. That's great from Shi Yu Qi, great relentless pressure.
13.
Yeah, I didn't play Malaysia, as you say, Thailand, he was out in the opening round to Kieran George. That was a big bit of news. Kieran George beat him in the opening round and then lost to Kodai Naroka in the quarterfinals last week in Singapore, having already disposed of Jonathan Christie and Lu Guangzhou. So the lead is now down to 4.
13.
String breakage there and just a miss hit. Just didn't quite hit it clean.
Is that pressure starting to crank up again on Tze Yong yet or not?
I don't think quite yet. It could just be, to be honest, it went in the light. It could be the drift just took it a fraction. Everyone has their strings pretty tight, so if you hit anywhere other than the sweet spot, there's a reasonable chance of the string going, and when it does, the shuttle can almost end up anywhere.
Perhaps this little break in momentum as well.
But these,
changing the racket probably helps, right?
Well, yeah, but these points now, the next 2 points are integral, because if Shi Yu Qi can snatch these next 2, all of a sudden we had quite a big difference between the 2. I think it was 11-6, was it? And then all of a sudden, I don't know, it just feels like, okay, just sneaking back in. And it's integral for Tze Yong now just to keep this lead.
Oh, he's hit that perfectly, hasn't he?
10.
And I would say now, you just feel just this momentum shift happening.
Yeah.
I'd say the last, I think it's been a run of, could be wrong here, 4 points. Is it the last 4 from Shi Yu Qi? Just feel now he's starting to get back into the match. And it could be now that could Tze Yong just tighten up a fraction, just force these points.
Yeah, he needed that, didn't he? And he just had a quick pump fist from him because, as you say, 4 in a row. Just needed to break that run. He gambled on that.
Yeah, I feel like that just held up a fraction. And then just hits the line.
Over.
Maybe even just inside the line, actually.
Thank you.
So the lead is back to 5. He's eased off, just let off some of that pressure that might have been building on Tze Yong.
Another slight miss hit there, but worked out almost better, because with the miss hit, almost took a bit of the power off, but it made it slightly steeper. Incredible placement in the end.
Just a little too far away for Shi Yu Qi. So Shi Yu Qi wants to finish this in 2. He's pretty much got to make a move now. 6 points away.
When I was on the bus in Singapore, I did see Shi Yu Qi doing some selfies with Jill. I'm not sure who asked for the selfie. I don't know if it's Shi Yu Qi. Maybe he's a big fan of Jill. She is a very, very famous lady. Over in Singapore, I felt like I was a bodyguard at one stage. There were so many people asking for a photo with her.
Tell you what, you wait till you see her here.
Service over.
Yeah,
she might
have a rock star.
She might have to start employing a bodyguard on tour. Just because there were so many people that wanted something signed or a...
There's a whole bunch when we go outside later on. They'll go crazy when they see her. So 5 points here, Shi Yu Qi trailing Tze Yong. Shi Yu Qi did well, wasn't he? He was under pressure.
Yeah, he did really well. There was a lift in there,
16.
incredible lift. From a very tight neck shot from Tze Yong.
On court.
A couple of points in a row. He's 4 behind. He hasn't narrowed that gap. 4 has been about as close as it's been for a while. If he breaks that barrier, it'll be interesting to see Tze Yong's response. There we have it.
13, 16.
Making his move. We said it was pretty much now or never, Chris, and he's done well.
Yeah, it's important for Shi Yu Qi that if he can just keep this pressure. Yeah, that's sneaked out, and that's the one you've got to be careful of.
That's the one you were mentioning.
On court. 14,
And then Tze Yong
16.
there, he just wanted a break, just to compose
Is that a way
himself.
to just disrupt the momentum of his opponent?
Yeah, he wanted to just compose himself, just take a moment, and he doesn't want Shi Yu Qi to just keep this roll. But the umpires decided that they didn't think it was the right time there. That's a great net shot. What a lift.
Oh,
Wow.
what a brilliant run of points this has been.
15,
Shi Yu Qi,
16.
5 in a row. Pressure's right back on, isn't it?
Yep. And this is why every single point is so integral. Just to stop a momentum run.
Thank you.
It was 16-10. And he's whipped up 5 points pretty quickly.
Yeah.
That is the quality you get with Shi Yu Qi. Longest rally we've had. Tze Yong gratefully wins it.
Yeah, great rally there.
Service
Tze Yong
over.
really played full rally.
17, 15.
Outmaneuvered his opponent really well.
So important for him to win that. Just take a little bit of that pressure off. Just looking at his knee, but he's okay. Tze Yong. I recall in the Thailand Open, he had something similar to this against Lee Chuk-yu. A 6-point lead.
Thank you.
6 or 7-point lead, something like that in the quarterfinals. And he couldn't hold on to it. He ended up losing.
It's difficult when you're in a position where you have had a big lead and then your opponent comes back, because you feel all the kind of the momentum change, the pressure, the tension. It's almost being the player. It's to an extent slightly easier being the player that makes the comeback. Obviously, it's not easy to make the comeback.
Shi Yu Qi still right on his tail. Oh, he is going
Shi Yu
to
Qi
sliding out.
challenges
What do you reckon?
Paul.
I don't know, that's
Out.
too close to call. I honestly don't know. I think it's a good decision to challenge because it was incredibly close, and this is a pivotal moment in the second game.
Yeah, absolutely. A lot riding on this one. It could be a lead of 3 or just 1. And that makes such a massive difference.
Especially at this point in
this
the second
point.
game, yeah.
We are awaiting. There we go. Oh, it's in.
Yeah, I mean, that's such a big challenge. Because, as I
Correction
said,
in.
what a big difference that makes. Nearly even. Was that a little smile there?
Service over.
Almost breaking into one, threatening to do so.
Shi Yu Qi.
16, 17.
Again,
Play.
just the 1 point now. That's the one you've got to be careful of.
17.
I would say Shi Yu Qi, his lifting has got better as the game's gone on. The quality of his lifts now, it's so hard for Tze Yong to be able to really attack and be in a good position.
He has gone level for the first time since right at the start of this game. Oh.
There's a lot of luck there, but
wow.
From the first game, I don't think much luck went in Tze Yong's way, so maybe he deserves it in the second one. But yeah, I think there's a poor return.
17.
And he's got all the pressure on him, and that just sneaks over.
I think you commented on one in the first game where it should have gone over, remember? And you said, well, I don't know how that hasn't, so I guess it's evened up.
People say, yeah, you get some that go for you and some that don't, or it evens itself out eventually.
Oh, he's gone his way, Shi Yu Qi.
He's challenging it, and Tze Yong.
Now let's see if the challenge will go his way.
This is another big challenge, but he's given the shuttle back to Shi Yu Qi. So this is an interesting one.
Do you think that was a hopeful one more than anything else? If nothing else, Chris, it will at least delay proceedings a little bit, right?
Just gives him a second to compose himself. Is that in? So it was out.
Yeah.
Correction.
So indicating that he knew it. But
well, but it's strange. So he
19,
challenged,
17.
and then he gave the shuttle back to Shi Yu Qi. So it was a peculiar one.
Seems like he doubted himself, maybe.
Yeah. Yeah, now it's just continuously going out. It's quite a cheap mistake in the end.
Game point. 17.
Game points here for Tze Yong. And you see it over the line, and Tze Yong forced the third. He has taken that second game.
Second game won by Tze Yong. 21-17. One game all.
Was that getting very, very nervy for him towards the end. There was a 6-point lead that Shi Yu Qi managed to whittle away. Tze Yong saw it over the line in the end. We are going to go into a third game here.
bola susah masuk agak itu, tapi terakhir sudah mulai dapat itu pertahankan bola. Sampai bakwannya tajam sudah tak apa, kalau memang tak boleh susah. Ini tengok ya, ini bukanya ya. Dia yang paling bahaya Pak, dia satu kali loncat set ini atau set ini. Ini bukanya kalau ini buka ini dia tunggu macam ini masih jatuh. Kalau tak bukanya tak set.
Court 1, 20 seconds. Court 1, 20 seconds.
So Chris, I know Shi Yu Qi lost that in the end, but he's going to take a lot of positives from where he was. On the end, that might be the tougher one. Can you look at that in a pretty positive light overall? I know he's lost it though. Or am I clutching at straws here for him?
It's a difficult one because, yes,
Final
on one hand,
game.
at the break,
All.
I think it was 11-6.
Yeah.
It was quite one-sided, and Tze Yong was definitely the dominant player. But in the second half of that second game, so Shi Yu Qi was, you know, 50-50 right back in it. The most important thing is now how both players start this final game. It's a great shot from Shi Yu
Service
Qi.
over.
Who settles and who starts this third game better is integral. I mean, in theory, following the way it's gone, Shi Yu Qi should have the better end.
Right.
And he knows he has to take a lead into the mid-break interval.
Correct. I was just going to say, you want a nice little cushion, don't you, before you switch ends?
But this is the other thing. It can play on your mind that if you don't, it's that
is
extra
that
bit of pressure. A little bit. But it depends, because if he starts to, let's say, get a nice lead and say it goes to, you know, 4-5, 6-1,
yeah,
you do just settle that bit more.
Ease, right.
And then for Tze Yong, is he going to get a bit more tense? Is he going to force it? A few more cheaper mistakes going to come in just because he's trying to think of too many things. He's not settled. He hasn't got a clear mind. He's just forced that out, and that's where he's got to be careful, because that's where I believe the drift's going a fraction that way. So he's got to be careful he doesn't play too tight. And again, it's quite an easy point, a bit of a gift for Shi Yu Qi, maybe 3-love, and it's been quite a quick.
Yeah, very quick, isn't he? Race to it. Feels like it's dictating proceedings at the moment, doesn't it, Shi Yu Qi?
Yeah, I would say it definitely is. And I'd say both players, when they've been down this end, they have looked a lot more comfortable. But it's integral from Tze Yong that he can stick with him. And he can't let the lead get too big, because when they do change ends, in theory, then, and Tze Yong's going to have the better end. But
what would you say is a good lead then? 5-6 points, you said?
He's got to stay in touch. I think 5 points is a lot to come back from. It's possible, don't get me wrong. Anything is possible in badminton. We saw some crazy stuff even last week, but
3 or 4 max.
Yes, I'd say for Shi Yu Qi, he's a phenomenal player, and if he's got a 5-6 point lead coming into the break, it's going to be tough for Tze Yong to come back from.
Yeah.
But it is still possible. Anything is possible. But this is the thing now, 5-love, and it's been fairly quick. We haven't had kind of any longish rallies.
Very good start here for Shi Yu Qi, the best anyone has had so far.
Brilliant pickup.
Oh, he's manoeuvring him around the court, isn't he? All over.
Yeah, I mean, he's so calm the way he's doing it as well. He's reading the game, he's stepping in, he's taking it early, and then so you can see Tze Yong's everywhere, just because at the moment, Shi Yu Qi, he is dictating.
Thank you.
Brilliant.
And when you're in that position, Chris, when you're training by that many, knowing what we know about the ends, it's every point, every shot you're playing is desperate, isn't it?
Yeah, but it is, exactly. And the easiest way to almost describe it is when one player's taking the shuttle early, as we've seen Shi Yu Qi do, the only other possibility is for his opponent generally to take it later.
Right.
And if you're consistently taking the shuttle early, well, you're not having to move as far, you're not as stressed, you're in a good position, you are controlling the rally. Oh, he had that.
Service
But that's
over.
a great point there for Tze Yong.
6.
But yeah, if you're always taking the shuttle a fraction earlier than your opponent, you know, you've got all the advantage, you've got all the control, and it's more fatiguing for your opponent. Your opponent's under more stress, under more pressure, and eventually that takes its toll. The longer the rally goes on, generally, then the harder it is for the player who's taking it late to stay in it.
Service over.
And that's another cheap mistake there from Tze Yong.
Just the 1 point he's got so far in the first 8 of game 3. Real problems for Tze Yong. Heading towards that interval.
Brilliant shot. Just a deception then. It's probably hard to see kind of on TV how phenomenal that is, but he stepped in so aggressively, so early, and he's just held it.
Wrong-footed him, didn't he?
It's his movement forward. He doesn't take the shuttle that early, but because his movement's so strong going forward, and then he just holds it, makes it so deceptive.
Nothing is going his way. This is we're getting the shades of game one, aren't we here?
We are indeed, and it's looking tough. It's a lot now to try and just got to draw some back before we get to this midpoint interval. It is so important because, yes, this end definitely appears to be the better end. Another great shot, though, from
10,
yeah. When he's down, when Tze Yong's down this end, yes, he is going to have the advantage. But if you're 11-1, 11-2, 11-3 down, it's asking a lot.
It's about as close to perfect as it could be for Shi Yu Qi at the start of this third game. 11-1. It's a monumental task now. Even if he isn't the veteran Tze Yong, I mean, he's got to have a massive shift in momentum here to turn this around. Let's see if Malaysia can do it.
Court 1, 20 seconds.
Court 3, 20 seconds. Court 3, 20 seconds.
One, play.
So now let's see how Tze Yong responds here.
It's a difficult thing because when Tze Yong now, he knows he has to win points. I mean, that's obviously, everyone knows that.
But I know
what I mean is you force it.
Yeah.
You almost get desperate. You're like, you almost don't elongate the rally or play the full rally out because you're forcing it so much because you're like, right, you're rushing basically to win the point. But this is important, he doesn't do that because by rushing, and I think he did in that rally, what actually happens is you give your opponent a cheap point and then it makes it even more stressful.
Then
and
you
rush
onto
exactly, and you rush even more and you get more tense, you get more nervous and the pressure just builds and you kind of do it to yourself, obviously by accident. But he's got to have belief that he still can come back. It's a big task and he's going to have to work incredibly hard, but it is possible. And that's the thing there, he's going to have to work so hard to win these points. That's a bit of a gift, but he will get gifts.
2-12.
Especially now that his opponent's on that end, right? There are going to be some gifts.
Yeah.
But you're saying don't try to force the winners too much.
This is it though, and it's hard to kind of have that battle with
to
yourself.
curb that, right?
Yeah. Because something inside you saying, well, hold on, I'm 12-2 down. You know, everything's against me. But I've got to win the point.
You made the point earlier, Chris. Sometimes you've got to forget that score. Just take each point as it comes on its own merit.
100%. And the more you worry about the score, the more you're worrying about someone that is
not in your control.
Yeah, exactly. It's gone. The score is what it is from the past. You have to look at the current or the future. The current is the rally you're in, and that is the most important thing. And then you analyse future, as in you'll analyse maybe you have to change your tactic, and that's held up. And this is the thing. If Tze Yong plays the full rally, he will get points from, you know, a judgment error, or it could be an unforced error, or a good rally from Tze Yong. We saw how good he was in the second game. Tze Yong was incredible. Right. He just can't afford to rush the point or give away easy mistakes. And in this part of the match, being 12-3 down in the final game.
He's won 2 of the 3 points since the interval. He needs to keep going like that. Three of the 4 have gone his way.
It's quite an easy mistake as well from Shi Yu Qi. It's a good lift. I mean, Shi Yu Qi's right on the back line, but shouldn't be making that overhead mistake.
This has been brilliant. Tze Yong We've talked a lot about Tze Yong's perspective. What about from Shi Yu Qi's now? I mean, he's still very comfortable, right? But is there something at the back of his mind now?
There is definitely, because the momentum shift. It's really changed once they changed ends, you know. We've had the biggest run. We've gone from, it was 12-1 it was, sorry. 12-1 to now, all of a sudden. And it was 12-5, which just starts to give you that bit more. Whenever the momentum changes, and it was so integral there to win, it's quite a cheap point as well in the end. But I mean, it's good judgment, it is good judgment, so.
He's trying to nip this in the bud. Any hope of a fight back? He wants to just put that back on Tze Yong, doesn't he?
Yeah, and I'd say that in Tze Yong, I don't think he has to play the shot from where he is. And I think he shadowed it after the rally. I'm not sure we're going to get to see it in the replay, but he shadowed just lifting, because I would agree. Just played a simple shot to work the rally.
That's gone long twice in the last couple of points.
15-5.
The lead is back up to 10 now. Well, we talked about now or never. This is really
6-15.
got to put on a very, very good run here, Tze Yong.
I think a really important thing is Tze Yong needs the discipline to work the rally, and by that I mean not force it at the wrong stage, shot selection, and all these things can. That's a great shot from Shi Yu Qi.
16-6.
Obviously Shi Yu Qi, as we said, he's a great player, so he's going to hit shots like this. The lift for me is a fraction short, but Tze Yong has to have the discipline of shot selection. And this is where sometimes, when the pressure builds on you, and you're 16-6 down in the final game, and again, nice hold. And could this be just because, I think for me, this has been Tze Yong's 4th tournament in a row.
Yeah.
Is there a bit of fatigue in the legs, in the brain, everything that's just hindering him at the moment? Brilliant shot.
I also just saw, in that previous point, a little slump on the shoulders from Tze Yong.
And this is the thing, you're 18-6 down, you start to stop believing. But when you do start to stop believing, everything stops, if you get what I mean. Your legs stop, your brain stops, everything does. Great shot, great shot.
I like it, isn't it?
Service over.
Few and far between.
7-18.
Brilliant.
Lovely.
Great shot, yeah. First time possibly we've seen that. Gets up really well and great stop drop.
Little flurry of points here for Tze Yong. Needs a lot more than that, though. He'll be happy that he's accruing these, but it's coming at the business end of the game, the match. Well, this is similar to the run we had earlier after the interval.
And this is the thing, it's hard because brilliant shot, good rally, but is it just a little bit too late? Yeah, and this is the difficult thing because it's a big old deficit he's got to come back from, 18-10 down.
Should get that, and that's
11-18.
it's 10-7 to Tze Yong since the interval. But he needed to make that much bigger margin, didn't he?
This is the thing. It's not that he hasn't played bad once they've changed ends. It was just probably there was a run where I think he gave away 3, maybe 4 cheaper points. And that's kind of the difference, because if you think those 3 or 4 points is 18-12, which yes, I appreciate is 6 points, but 3 gifts, all of a sudden it's even.
Correct.
And this is why, even when it feels like you're a long way down, yes, you are, but when you have the momentum possibly changing as it could have, you know, it could be such a different, well, it could be a different scoreline, but it could be a different everything, because if it's, instead of being 18-12, let's just say it's, I don't know, 17-16, all of a sudden, I mean, it's 50-50. Again there. And he knows it, you know, it's frustration because he was there. First of all, I think he wanted to brush it, change his mind, and then in the end he was going to play a net shot. And he's so early though that he can't make that mistake because he's in full control, and it was just an indecision. Perfect.
It's in. It's good.
13-19.
So it's 12-8 so far in Tze Yong's favour since the interval. But because he had such a massive deficit to overcome, he's still trailing by 6 here. And that's an easy one to put away. He's now set up 7th match point, Shi Yu Qi.
Yeah, I think Tze Yong, as the match has gone on, you know, it's obvious you're going to get tired, but I do think he's just moving that fraction slower than we've seen. For not like normally his movement is very quick, very strong, and it could just be the onset of the and that's gone out.
So Shi Yu Qi has won this. Hasn't been all one-way traffic. The score might indicate that. And Tze Yong showed some fight, Chris, but they came a little too late in this one.
Yeah, the lead was just too big. 11
Match
right
won by
returns.
Shi Yu Qi,
So hard to come back from.
21-7, 17-21, 21-13.
He's put some real respectability into that score. He was trailing 1-11 at the break in the third, and then really rallied at times. Outscored his opponent after the interval, but it wasn't to be enough. So, Shi Yu Qi of China defeats Malaysia's Just about an hour. Shi Yu Qi's through to the second round.